Eight assassins after your head. What are you going to do?
I'm going to find Black Mask and put an end to this.
Batman Arkham Origins is an early career Batman story, and it's a prequel to Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. It takes place, roughly speaking, in year 2 of Batman's career. He's younger, he's rawer, he's less fully formed, and a lot of the relationships that I think you sort of start to take for granted when Batman is later on in his career have not been fully formed. This gives us a really exciting opportunity to tell what we think is a pretty unique story, showing Batman and these key relationships evolving and changing as a result of this gauntlet he has to run through. That gauntlet being the fact that on this one night, the number one crime lord in all of Gotham, a character by the name of Black Mask, he puts a $50 million bounty on Batman's head. This $50 million attracts 8 of the top assassins in the DC universe to Gotham for the one night to kill the Bat. And it is a challenge unlike anything he's ever faced. It's a formative night in his career.
Gordon, clear the line of fire!
You've got nowhere to run.
To be an Arkham game, you have to have the obvious things. You've got to have great free flow combat. You've got to have great fighting sequences. You've got to have great invisible predator sequences. We like to say those moments where you're sort of on that razor's edge of intensity and also sort of empowerment, where one false move and the whole world goes to heck. But you know that you are in control and you have that sort of strategic advantage. Has to have a great open world where you really feel like this city is my playground, complete with navigation and challenges and puzzles and opportunities to use your gadgets and whatnot. Our particular version of Batman tells the story of someone who is very much a loner. He's very comfortable and, in fact, dependent on the fact that he doesn't need anybody's help. He doesn't want anybody to know for a fact that he exists other than Alfred, and very much the sort of quote-unquote creature of the shadows who depends on anonymity and depends on the fact that there's still a raging debate amongst the police officers and the criminal element whether or not he even exists. That sort of urban myth element and the fear factor that comes from that is something he thinks he needs and that he absolutely depends on through the events of this game.
I've long waited for this moment. With your death, I will find peace.
So there were sort of 3 key elements in deciding who made the final cut. We knew we wanted a diverse lineup. So we knew we didn't want 8 big beefy guys who all, looked like it would take a tank to run them over in order to defeat them. The second classifying factor was we wanted characters who we thought we could make cool, whether because they were already cool. I think Deathstroke is a good example of that. We thought we could Arkhamize him somewhat, but just looking at that character design, we liked him, from the outset. We always did. We're all really big fans of Deathstroke, almost, regardless of which medium he's appeared in or which comic book issue you're talking about. Or we saw great potential in them. Firefly is a great example of that. Copperhead, another one, whereby there was something very interesting about the elements of the character, even if their particular character design wasn't Arkham-y enough for us and it needed a little Arkhamization. But I think perhaps the third and most important classifier was how it would map to gameplay. So we knew that we wanted our boss fights to be this idea of the final exam to help train and test a player in some core ability so that in defeating said assassin, you can sort of rest assured that as you take that skill that you've perfected as a result of defeating that assassin, you're going to put it to good use in the rest of the game, be it in the open world or whatever. We're not making a Gotham filled with pedestrians and traffic simulations, and up until a few hours before the events of this game had been the sort of, bustling city that we know Gotham to be. And so there's a lot of elements that went into the design of the billboards, of the life, the graffiti on the walls. When you're navigating through this world, you definitely get the feeling that this was a city that was alive, a city that is alive, before it got hit by this tsunami of chaos that unfolds over the course of our game.
Nice of you to drop in.
Batman Arkham Origins ships in a few short weeks, October 25th, worldwide on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, the PC, and the Wii U. There's also Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, which is a companion game developed with our friends at Armature Games, and that one ships on the Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita.